Good afternoon, and thank you so much for finding time to be with me today. The show is Diaspora Dispatches, where I get to bring you up to date with the latest happenings across the continent of Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu. The date is the 17th of May 2022, and we're coming to you from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. And we start our bulletin from Nigeria, where the recent report is that from Kano in northern Nigeria is said to be an explosion that occurred near a primary school within the Sabon Gari area of the city. Details of the blast are not yet clear, but several school children are thought to have been affected. Kano is a major commercial hub and the most populous city in northern Nigeria. So this is a developing story, and we shall bring you up to date as the details continue to trickle in. We move on to another news, and that is from Kenya. Heads of state, football legends and Hollywood stars are among thousands of delegates gathering in Kenya's lakeside city of Kisumu for the 9th Afro-City Summit. The Pan-African Conference is convened every 3 years to discuss the challenges of urbanization and climate change in Africa. The attendees, who include the football stars Didier Drogba and Samuel Eto'o, as well as actress Lupita Nyong'o, will also discuss the response to the coronavirus pandemic. And just so you know, Lupita Nyong'o's dad, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, is the current governor of Kisumu County, where the Afri-Cities Summit is taking place. And then we move over and go to Libya, where there's been a brief outbreak of factional fighting in the Libyan capital Tripoli. Members of an eastern faction arrived overnight in an attempt to claim power. They then left the city after several hours of clashes. The armed escort had accompanied Fathi Bashagha, who was named as prime minister by a parliament based in eastern Libya. He has been trying to take over from Abdul Hamid El Deiba, who was appointed prime minister after UN brokered negotiations last year. Mr. Bashagha says his western rival forfeited his claim to office when he failed to hold elections as scheduled. And then we move over to Rwanda, and a court in Kigali has dropped a rape charge against the Miss Rwanda pageant organizer, but said he will be prosecuted for other alleged sex crimes. The court on Monday also denied Diodone Ishimwe bail following his arrest late last month. Mr. Ishimwe was accused of rape, soliciting or offering sexual favors, and harassment against the pageant contestants. He denied all the charges last week. The judge said there was insufficient evidence to charge Mr. Ishimwe with rape, but the judge said the suspect could face charges of soliciting sexual favors and sexual harassment. The accusations against Mr. Ishimwe are among the most discussed topics among Rwandans on social platforms. The Rwandan government last week suspended the Miss Rwanda pageant Beauty following the arrest of its organizer. And then we move on back to Nigeria, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Nigeria says it's arrested the country's Accountant General Ahmed Idris on suspicion he diverted almost $200 million of public funds. The commission said Mr. Idris had used family members and close associates to defraud the government and invest the proceeds in real estate in Nigeria. There's been no comment from Mr. Idris. Nigeria has struggled with corruption for many years, but the EFCC has successfully prosecuted politicians, police officers, and civil servants last year. It recovered around $750 million in assets. And then still staying with Nigeria, and the Nigerian military says it has killed 4 members of Biafra separatist group in a clash in southwest. It said one of its patrols had been attacked and had returned fire, killing some of the group and forcing others to flee. There's been no independent verification of the claim. Rights group have accused the Nigerian army of using excessive force against Biafrans in a region which fought in vain for its independence in the late 1960s. It comes as the trial of the most prominent Biafran leader, Nnamdi Kanu, is due to resume today. There are fears the killing of members of the separatist group could spark outrage among Mr. Kanu's followers in the southeast region. And the United Nations says the number of severely malnourished children worldwide is rising because of the combined effects of the coronavirus pandemic, climate change and armed conflicts. The UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, added that treating them was becoming more expensive because of the rising cost of therapeutic food. The agency highlighted two regions, Afghanistan and the Horn of Africa, as being particularly at risk. In Afghanistan, over 1 million children are expected to suffer severe malnutrition, double the number of 2018. In the Horn of Africa, where a severe drought has set in, the figure could reach 2 million children. And hopefully we'll have the titles there so that they can guide our viewers. And Mali thwarts Western-backed coup attempt. And the military junta says it thwarted an attempted coup last week led by Western-backed soldiers. The alleged foiled coup took place on the night between 11th and 12th of May, the junta said in a statement without providing evidence. The statement read out on state television on Monday said the attempt was thwarted thanks to the vigilance and professionalism of the defense and security forces. It did not give details of the alleged coup plotters' identity and whereabouts, but said they would be handed over to justice. The AFP news agency quoted a military source as saying that about 10 arrests were made. Mali's military has seized power twice since August 2020 when it ousted elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta and has been under pressure to return the country to democratic rule. And the latest is that President Joe Biden has reportedly authorized the redeployment of several hundred American troops into Somalia. This largely reverses the decision by Donald Trump when he was in office and withdrew nearly all 700 ground troops who had been stationed there. U.S. intelligence officials estimate that Al-Shabaab has up to 10,000 members, even though it fights inside Somalia. Officials say some members have ambitions to strike the U.S. 2 years ago, the group carried out a deadly attack on an American air base in Kenya. It is not known how many soldiers President Biden has authorized, but they are said to be part of a special operations force that will be on the ground inside Somalia. It is also being reported that he has approved a plan to target about a dozen suspected leaders of Al-Shabaab. This revives an open-ended American counterterrorism operation and is in contrast to Mr. Biden's decision to withdraw American forces from Afghanistan. We head over to Guinea-Bissau, where President Umaro Sissoco Embalo has dissolved the parliament 3 months after he had said he had survived a coup attempt. In a statement quoted by Reuters news agency, he accused the lawmakers of corruption. He also cited persistent and unresolved differences with parliament. The AFP news agency has reported Mr. Embalo dismissed the government but kept both the Prime Minister and his deputy in place in order to keep things running until the next legislative elections. The Voice of America has reported Guinea-Bissau has seen more than a dozen coups or attempted coups since independence in 1974. Shooting broke in the capital in February and 11 people were killed in 5 hours shooting. The president said there has been an attempt on his life, but some later questioned his version of events. And then we head to South Africa, where the country's state-owned electricity utility will implement power cuts during evening peak on Monday and Tuesday, the CEO Andre de Ruyter has announced. Eskom CEO said on Monday the return to a typical winter pattern during the evening made it harder for the system to handle the demand. Between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m., South Africa will therefore have to reduce the usage of electricity and to switch off all non-essential items. Several power stations not working have contributed to the breakdown. Some were offline due to planned maintenance, but the Southern African country experiences a 16,307 megawatts loss in generating capacity due to breakdowns. And then we go to Chad, where 5 opposition leaders were charged and jailed on Monday in Chad for disturbing public order during a Saturday demonstration against France, accused of supporting the military junta, the Jamena prosecutor's office told the AFP. When President Idriss Déby Itno was killed more than a year ago at the front against rebels, his son General Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno took over the reins of the country by the international community, by the country at the head of a group of 15 generals who were immediately endorsed by the international community, with Paris in their lead, while other coup officers were subjected to its wrath and sanctions elsewhere in Africa. 7 gas stations belonging to the French oil company Total were vandalized and 12 police officers injured Saturday during the anti-French demonstration by hundreds of people in Jamena, and that is according to a police official who requested anonymity. 5 leaders of the main opposition coalition Wakit Tama, which organized the march, were arrested in the process. The junta dissolved a parliament, dismissed the government, and abrogated the constitution when it announced the death of Idris Deby on April 20th, 2021, but it immediately promised free and democratic elections within 18 months at the end of the National Reconciliation Dialogue. And we end our bulletin this afternoon from Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe on Monday sought the support of the European Union to sell off $600 million worth of ivory it has accumulated due to the global ban on the sale of tusks. International trade in ivory has been banned since 1989 under the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority Director General Fulton Magwanya told EU ambassadors to Harare that the country has 163,000 tons of ivory and 67 tons of rhino horns in vaults. He estimated the value of the ivory at around $600 million. The EU diplomats were taken on tour of the vaults in Harare. Mangwanya said if allowed, the funds will be used to benefit local communities living around animal conservancies. The country can support up to 55,000 elephants, but the population has more than doubled to 100,000 according to official reports. And that is the latest news from the continent of Africa. Thank you so much for watching. Good afternoon.